Universitas Sriwijaya. I'll be responsible for hosting parallel session today. Today is our second day parallel session, and I'm glad to welcome all presenters who will present their work. Before we start our parallel session, let me explain about the session rule. First, all presenters will be given 15 minutes for presenting their work and 10 minutes for Q&A session. Second, the question and answering session will be continue after the presentation of each presenter. Third, if the audience want to ask question, you need to select icon raise hand, and then the operator will unmute you, or you can write it down in the chat box. Next, the question should be brief and clear. And the last, please mute the microphone when you are not speaking. For today's session, we will have 3 presenters. Without further ado, I would like to welcome our first presenter. He will deliver a presentation entitled Multi-Objective Optimization of Diesel Engine Using Backpropagation Neural Network, Genetic Algorithm, and Particle Swarm Optimization. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mr. Muhammad Khairul Effendi. The floor is yours.
Okay. Okay, thank you for your coming. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning, everybody. Could you please my presentation screen? It's okay? Okay. Okay, my name is Muhammad Khairul Effendi. I'm from Institut Teknologi 10 November of ITS. And then, today I would like to deliver my presentation that the title is Multi-Objective Optimization of Diesel Engine Using Backpropagation Neural Network and Meta-Heuristic Methods. And then maybe we continue with first screen. Okay, maybe this is my background. Okay, air pollution. Air pollution is the big problem in the world. Not only in the world, but also in our country, Indonesia. So Indonesia is listed in 11th place with its average pollution concentration of maybe 42 microgram per meter cubic. So this data is released by IQ Air in 2018. And then, this is a big problem for Indonesia. So for this case, for reducing air pollution, the Indonesia government has adopted the Euro 4 emission standard. So based this standard, we know that the allowable amount of nitrogen oxide NOx emitted from a diesel engine of vehicle, I mean this is a solar engine or diesel engine, so be no more than 250 milligram per kilometer. So this is one of our reference. So this paper is created by Genji in 2017. So the objective of this paper is how to optimize. This is one case of multi-objective optimization. So the author want to optimize peak pressure. Because the peak pressure is represent the power that produced from diesel engine. And then, in other hand, the author want to reduce the amount of nitrate oxide and also soot, because nitrate oxide and soot correlated with emission that produced by diesel engine. So the parameter input in this paper has 4 parameters with 3 different levels. So the first parameter is compression ratio, and then the second parameter input is fuel injection pressure, and then the data about start of injection, and then the last parameter is exhaust gas recirculation. So maybe you can see this table. So this table shows us all of experiment that's conducted by this author. So the total of experiment is 27 experiment with different level of parameter inputs, combination between 4 parameter input. And then we can see the output of this experiment. So the output is three parameter: peak pressure, nitrate oxide, and also soot. So this data will be processed by response surface method by this author. So the mathematical model will generate by response surface method, and then it will be used to predict the optimum parameter input, to find maximum power or peak pressure, and also reduce pollutant that produced by a diesel engine. Okay, and then the next slides about the background. The background, this is, maybe we can see that advantage and disadvantage of response surface method. So even response surface method has advantage. This method able to predict a certain response of optimization problem. But unfortunately, this method has some problem, some disadvantage. For example, the number of experiments so equal with the number of independent variable. And then this method is suitable for first and second order polynomial. And then, the result is, I think, is low accuracy. So based on this reason, we will like to offer the other method. Using the other optimization method, we call as genetic algorithm and particle swarm optimization. So the advantage of genetic algorithm is this method is suitable for nonlinear case and also able to achieve a global optimum, avoid local optimum in optimization process. And then, disadvantage is laborious tuning process. So this is problem in GA. And then about the PSO, the advantage of this method can reach convergence quickly, and also the performance is not affected by the variation of data number. But the disadvantage of this method is not suitable for complex problem in optimization, and also sometimes fail to reach a global optimum in optimization process. So based on the previous reason in the previous slide, our objective of optimization is how to propose a solution strategy to minimize gas emission and optimize the performance of diesel engine using combination between backpropagation neural network and also two meta-heuristic method. So in this paper, we propose genetic algorithm and also particle swarm optimization. So maybe we can see the research overview of this is our project. So the data, this is the scope between our reference and also the scope of our job, our work. So the scope of Ganji, maybe you can see that the data will processed by response surface method, and then the result of response surface method will be used to predict the optimization value. And then in our project, we will use same data. I mean the data that's produced by Ganji, but in this case, in our work, we will use the other methods. So the method is backpropagation neural network combined with two meta-heuristic method, genetic algorithm, and also particle swarm optimization. So the function of backpropagation neural network in here is to produce model able to represent between input and output. And then genetic algorithm and particle swarm optimization will be used to predict the optimum value of input parameter based on composite desirability. So the function of composite desirability in here is to convert, because the output of backpropagation is 3 output. So it should be converted into single output by composite desirability. So after that, genetic algorithm and PSO able to determine what is the optimum input parameter should be used in order to increase power or peak pressure, and also reduce the pollutant that produced by diesel engine. Okay, and then this information about backpropagation tuning. This is short overview about the information in backpropagation neural network. So the number of variation of hidden layer is set from 1 to 5. Yeah, the number of neuron is 2 until 10. Activation function is Hartley, Purellin, Sutlin, Log-seq, Tan-seq, and Hartley. And then the data will be divided into 3 groups. So the first group, around 70% was used for training, 15% for testing, and then 15% for validation. And then the chosen training function is Lavenberg-Marquardt. And then the parameter input to stop iteration to find the best model is using mean square error. And then we use 10,000 generation to find the optimal model for each parameter output. And then this is about desirability function. So as I mentioned before, that the function of desirability function is to convert 3 output. Yeah, because this is multi-object optimization, so we must convert three output into single output. So yeah, this is the formulation of desirability function. So if the target is optimum value, maybe we can use this first equation in here. And then if the target is minimum value, we can use the second formulation. And then if the target is located between maximum and minimum value, maybe we can use this formulation. So yeah, because we have 3 objective function, peak pressure, NOx, and also shoot, maybe we can combine 3 output into single output using desirability function, something like this. So this is the formulation how to convert 3 output into single output. Okay, and then this is an illustration about backpropagation and desirability function. So the data is obtained from the KNG 2017. And then this is an illustration how backpropagation neural network trains this algorithm to find optimum model for peak pressure and also for nitrate oxide parameter and also for soot parameter. And then it will be converted into single output using desirability function, and then kinetic algorithm and particle swarm optimization will be used to find optimum parameter in order to find maximum peak pressure and also find minimum nitrate oxide and also soot parameter in output of diesel engine. Okay, and then this is an illustration of best backpropagation neural network models. Maybe you can see this table. So the parameter for peak pressure, for example, peak pressure, the maximum, the best topology neural network for peak pressure is 3 hidden layer. And then the number of neuron for each hidden layer is 9. And then activation function, tangent, and this is mean square error that obtains from this model. And also for NOx, 3 hidden layer, 9 neural for each hidden layer, active function also tangent. And then we can see that the mean square error is 0.02. And also for soot, the hidden layer 5 neuron for each hidden layer is 10, activation function is Sutlin, and also this is mean square error for this soot parameter. And then this is an illustration of backpropagation topology for peak pressure, NOx, and also soot. So the input parameter is 4 in his compression ratio, start of ignition, FEP, and also EGR in here. And then the output is 3 parameter in here. Okay, and then this is about overview of genetic algorithm and particle swarm optimization. So both of method is suitable to find optimum value of objective problem. So maybe start from genetic algorithm. So start from neural network model that generated by BPNN, and then maybe we can set population size, GA setting, maximum number of generation, and then this is procedure standard of GA, generating initial population, calculating fitness, selection process, crossover, mutation, and then we calculate mean square error in here, and also check generation in here. If the generation or mean square error is less than threshold, maybe we can back to the previous step. If okay, maybe we can continue to the next step and find the optimum parameter. And then how about PSO? PSO almost same with previous one. I mean GA, the input parameter same with the previous one. And then the next step is determine P base and G base, calculating velocity, updating position, calculating new base, new G base, and also comparing the new value with the previous value, and then the select one. So the decision are same with the previous one. Yeah, we must compare mean square error and also the maximum iteration in this algorithm. So after we find the best model with the smallest MSE, or maybe more than the maximum iteration, we can continue the next step and find the optimum parameter. Okay, and then this is about desirability function for peak pressure. We can see that, because this is optimum case, of course we must use this formulation in desirability function. So maybe we can see the first step. We must find the minimum and maximum value. So we must train backpropagation neural network to find model and then this model will be used to find maximum and minimum value. And then this is comparison between GA and PSO to find maximum value for peak pressure. And also this is the minimum, this is the performance of GA and PSO to find the minimum peak pressure. Maybe we can see that the performance of GA and PSO, both of minimum and maximum peak pressures also same each other. And then this is an illustration how to use GA and PSO to find maximum and minimum value for NOx. Maybe you can see that this is comparison between GA and PSO for finding the maximum NOx. We can see that the performance of GA is better compared with the PSO performance. And also for minimum, I think the performance almost same as other. And then the next is about the performance of GA and PSO to find a maximum and minimum suits value. And then we can see that the performance of GA is better compared with PSO for find a maximum suits. But for the minimum suit value, I think the performance of GA and PSO almost same each other. And then, this is data analysis and discussion. We can see that from this table that the performance of GA, genetic algorithm, and particle swarm optimization are better than response surface method. Maybe we can check the composite desirability number. So we can see that the value of composite desirability of PSO and genetic algorithm are better than composite desirability of response surface method in here. So back to is parameter, maybe we can check this is a peak pressure is method. So from this table, we can see that the value peak pressure, GA, PSO, and response surface method almost same as other. But GA and PSO, the performance of GA and PSO to reduce pollutant, nitrate oxide, and soot are better compared with the response surface method. So this is our conclusion. The optimization value obtained from backpropagation neural network and GA based on this table is much better compared to the value obtained from the backpropagation neural network and PSO, and also better than the result that obtained from response surface method. Okay, thank you for your attention. Maybe this is all of my presentation. Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Muhammad Khairul Effendi,
Okay.
for your informative and interesting talk. Now we will open the floor for a question. If the audience have any question, please raise your hand or you can write it down in the chat box.
Okay. Rahmat Fadli Isnanto, maybe.
Okay.
Rahmat Fadli Isnanto, maybe you can unmute his speaker. Okay.
Okay, thank you for Mr. Khairul for your presentation.
Okay.
And then my question is regarding your presentation. How do you measure the performance of your models?
Backpropagation neural network model.
Yes.
Or model of GA and PSO.
I think it's about GA and PSO.
The performance. Yeah, I just try. Maybe back again. Back again to my presentation. Okay. Okay, maybe we can check this slide. Yeah. Okay. I use generation to find the optimal model both of GA and particle swarm optimization. So I think I determine the maximum generation for GA is 10,000 generation. Also in particle swarm optimization also 10,000 iteration. So I just only use the maximum number of generation both of GA and PSO. Okay.
Okay, Mr. Khairul.
Yeah.
I also have several questions regarding.
Okay. Okay.
After you have the optimal value of several parameters in GA, then how do you measure these values regarding to your data, your response data?
How to measure?
How you measures the value of GA and PSO based on your response data.
Okay. Okay. Maybe back again to this slide. Yeah, because this is multi-objective optimization. It means that the output of the model is three output. Yeah, peak pressure, nitrate oxide analysis. And then, yeah, the problem is GA and PSO only can process only one single output. So this is big problem because our output is 3. Our output is 3. And then we must convert it into single output. So we use descriptibility function to convert 3 output into single output. So this is an illustration. Maybe back to this slide. So this is the descriptibility function, how to convert 3 output into single output. So we must calculate one by one is parameter using this formulation. And then after we got maximum and minimum value, maybe we can change to the other formulation. So this is formulation in descriptibility function, how to convert 3 output. For example, because I have 3 output, yeah, peak pressure, soot, and nitrate oxide. So we must combine it using this equation to produce one or single output. Okay.
Okay. Thank you very much for your answer,
Okay.
Mr. Muhammad Khairul Effendi.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you for your presentation and your answer, Mr. Khairul Effendi.
Okay, thank you. Welcome back.
Okay, now, ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome our second presenters. She will deliver a presentation entitled Diabetes mellitus Diagnosis using the prediction model of discriminant analysis. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Ms. Endang Kresnawati. The floor is yours.
Thank you. Thank you, moderator. Okay. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you for the coming in this term. Today, I will present my research with entitled Diabetes mellitus Diagnosis using the prediction model of discriminant analysis. Okay. Well, in this research was motivated by that diabetes mellitus or DM is the chronic metabolic disease in which vital organs such as the heart, blood vessel, eyes, kidneys, and nerves can suffer separate damage. And then DM accounts for 6% of the causes of death in cardiovascular disease. Cardiovascular disease are the most common cause of death globally, taking an estimate 17.9 million lives each year. And then besides that, in conventional diagnosis is carried out by medical checkup based on the doctor's knowledge to determine whether a patient has a diabetes or not. But for such a large amount of data, it is not possible to diagnose individual patients. So that we need a mathematical approach to have the decision-making process. And next, one of mathematical branch is statistics, and one of statistical method used to classify the objects into several groups is discriminant analysis. Discriminant analysis is a powerful machine learning method for designing a statistical classification algorithm. This discriminant analysis can be obtained either with or without combination with other statistic tools. In this research, which related to DM diagnosis, combines discriminant analysis with methods first adaptive network fuzzy inference system and Morlet wavelet support vector machine. Okay, then the research purpose is the study predicts diabetes mellitus based on risk factors from diagnostic measures using discriminant analysis. And the research advantage is get the diagnosis whether the patient is diabetes or control patient. So there's two classification. The first is diabetes patient and the second is the control patients. The result of the result of this research is the model and the classification of two patient diabetes and control will use to the diagnosis the future patient in this disease. The data, my research data, the studies data is the PIMA Indian data sets consisting of 768 patients with specific diagnostic measurements, diabetic 41 and the control patient 727. And then the variable are the number of times pregnancies, plasma glucose, and then plasma glucose, diastolic blood pressure, TRIPS skin folds, skin thickness, and then insulin, body mass index. Body mass index is not weight, diabetes, pedigree, function, and age. And then this research have three main steps. Each of these main steps contains a minimum of 2 processes. The first main step is data pre-processing, and the second main step is prediction modeling, and the third main step is model validation. For the first main step, I'm dividing the data set randomly into training data and test data with the composition 70-30, and then describe the variable statistically using mean and standard deviation. For the second main step, prediction modeling, first perform statistical test on model assumption, explanatory variable distribution, groups homogeneity of covariance matrix, and group equality of mean factor. Estimate parameters, implementing discriminant analysis, and we'll get a model in this step. And the third main step, model validation. Validating model, measuring model performance using accuracy rate, sensitivity, specificity, PVV, and NVV. This is the first main step, dividing data in learning group and testing group data for diabetic and control patient. And then in this second main step, mean and standard deviation of explanatory variable. This variable, pregnancies, glucose, blood pressure, skin thickness, insulin, body mass index, DPF, and age. This is statistic. And then multivariate Gaussian test of learning data. The next step is multivariate Gaussian test of learning data. The table below presents the multivariate Gaussian assumption test result for both groups of the learning data using the Hans-Zilkers test with a significant level of 5%. The table shows that in the diabetic group, the variables are multivariate Gaussian distributed, while in the control group, the variables are not multivariate Gaussian distributed. This is the plot. Gaussian plot, diabetic in the left side and the control in the right side. So the diabetic is Gaussian distribution and the control patient is not Gaussian distribution. The next step is homogeneity test. The covariance matrix homogeneity test presented in table on side shows that 2 of the 3 tests have a p-value smaller than the significance level of 0.05. These 2 tests indicate that the covariance of both of diabetic and control groups is heterogeneous. There is no enough evidence to suggest that the covariance of the 2 groups are homogeneous. This is the test result. And then the next is the mean factor equation test. The table on side presents the mean factor equation test for the 2 groups. The Pillay-Trace test result indicate that the p-value smaller than the significance level of 0.05. It denoted that not enough evidence to support that the 2 mean factors of groups are equal. The 2 tables inform that a more appropriate model is used. That a more appropriate model to use is the quadratic discriminant analysis model. So in discriminant analysis model, there are 2 types. linear and quadratic discriminant. For the test, we get that this my data is quadratic discriminant analysis. The last step in the second main step is the KDA model parameter. This parameter is used to building the KDA model, KDA, quadratic discriminant analysis model, is building by using all of these parameter. Table on site present the KDA model parameter for both groups. The parameter value estimate using maximum likelihood estimation. So it's the last step in this research before validation. This parameter mu1 for variable mu1 is for variable 1, mu2 for variable 2, and then still mu8 for variable 8 for group diabetic and control. And then this is the third main step, prediction performance model. This method successfully diagnoses patients with diabetes and patients with control of 98.27%. The proportion of patients with correctly diagnosed diabetes was 69.23%. And the proportion of patients with control diagnosed correctly was 100%. The patient diagnosed have diabetes and relative have diabetes of 100%, and patient diagnosed with control and really a control patient of 98.20%. This is the accuracy 98, sensitivity 69, specificity 100%, PVV 100%, and NPV 98%. And then the conclusion of this research is, first, the homogeneity testing results using Flickner, Gillen, Bartlett, and Box-M on the patient-specific diagnostic measurements conclude that 2 of 3 tests, except Bartlett, indicated that the covariance matrix was homogeneous. The Pillay traceability of mean factor test notes that there is no evidence to suggest that the mean factor of the two groups are equal. And the second conclusion is the recommended discriminant model is a quadratic discriminant analysis. The KDA model performance on diabetes mellitus based on specific diagnostic measurements on the validation data has the type performance measurement. 4 of the 5 measurements have high scores, more than 98%. Only the proportion of patients with correctly diagnosed diabetes NPV has a low value, 69%. The explanation was that the diagnosis showed a false negative at a rate of 30.77%. The proportion of patients with control diagnosed correctly and the proportion of patients diagnosed with diabetes and have diabetes even reached 100%. Okay, this is the end of my presentation. Thanks. Thank you very much. See you next time. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you, moderator.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you very much, Ms. Endang Krisnawati, for your informative and interesting talk. Now, we will open the floor for a question. If the participants have question, please raise your hand or you can write it down in the chat box. For audience, if you have any question regarding to Ms. Endang Tresnawati presentation, please raise your hand or you can write it down in the chat box.
The next presenter.
Okay, Ms. Endang, I have a question for you, actually.
Okay.
Regarding to your presentation, you said that your diabetes mellitus dataset for diabetic classes has a few frequencies compared to normal classes, right?
Pardon me? Repeat.
In your dataset,
Okay.
in your dataset, the diabetic and control data, the and controllable have different proportion. The diabetic classes only have 5% of the data, and then the control level has 95% of all data.
Oh, yes.
That's right?
Yes.
Yeah.
The data.
So is there any ways to reduce or to increase the data set of diabetic level so that the sensitivity value of your quadratic model is increasing?
Which one will increasing? Okay.
The sensitivity value. So the sensitivity is about 69%, right?
Yeah, there is the wrong. May I share screen. This is sensitivity 69%. Yes.
Right.
And then we look here.
Yeah.
The only the proportion of patient with correctly diagnosed diabetes has a low value. The explanation was that the diagnosis saw a false negative at a rate of 30%. So there is a false negative. There's a false negative for this proportion for sensitivity. It's because of the data. The data just like that. So we have data from the source is diabetic only 41 and the control is 727. But the control patient is maybe diabetic too. It's for diabetic patient is clear that patient really diabetic, but the control in Indonesian called terduga. Control patient is patient that have diabetic, memiliki keluhan diabetes, tapi belum terkategori sebagai really diabetic patient. So this number of diabetic and control maybe make the conclusion like this. The explanation, let's say the diagnosis show a false negative. Maybe like that.
Okay, thank you very much for your answer, Ms. Endang Kresnawati.
Okay, thank you. Welcome.
Okay, we still have time actually for Ms. Endang Kresnawati presentation. If audience have any question regarding to Ms. Endang Kresnawati presentation, please raise your hand or you can write your question in the chat box. Okay, I think that's all. Thank you, Miss Endang Kresnawati, for your presentation.
Okay, welcome. Thank you.
Okay, next, ladies and gentlemen, this is the last presenters of our second day parallel session. Let's welcome Miss Suci Lestari. She will deliver a presentation entitled Author Matching Classification on a Highly Imbalanced Bibliographic Data Using Cost-Sensitive Deep Neural Network. Ms. Suci Lestari, the floor is yours. I'm sorry, Ms. Suci Lestari, for interrupting your presentation, but your microphone is mute.
Sorry, I'm sorry. Okay, I'm sorry for that mistake. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning. Today I will deliver my presentation with the title is Author Matching Classification on a Highly Imbalanced Bibliographic Data Using Cost-Sensitive Deep Neural Network. Introduction. Author name ambiguity occurs when a set of publication records contains ambiguous author names, such as the same author name may appear under distinct name and the distinct author names may have similar names. Author name ambiguity can be a great source of errors in a digital library nowadays. It may reduce the quality of information related to the author or organization. To handle that problem, there are two approach method: author name disambiguation, followed by author grouping, then author assignment method. Author grouping method is finding some similarities between the author to author from publication data, and the author assignment method will directly assigning each author. Both methods will try to create, select, and combine features based on the similarity of attributes, co-authors, keyword affiliation, publication years, and etc. by using several measures such as Jaccard, Jarrow, and others, or several heuristics. Large imbalance data can lead to unexpected errors and even serious consequences in data analysis, specifically for classification tasks for handling the problem of imbalanced data. Some methods have been proposed and grouped into three categories, that is data level, algorithm level, and hybrid approach methods. Data level will reduce the level of returns through various data sampling methods. Algorithm level will handle imbalanced data that usually apply with a weight or cost scheme, including modify the underlying learner or output to reduce bias towards to the majority class. The last hybrid approach will strategically combine sampling methods and algorithmic methods. This study consent to solve the problem of imbalanced data with algorithm level method. The solution of algorithm level is attempting to adapt current classifier learning algorithms to enhance minority class learning, such as cost-sensitive learning, ensemble learning, and Hive network. Among the aforementioned algorithm level, this study used cost-sensitive learning with deep neural network classifier. It can be one of the solutions to imbalanced data problems by consider the cost value associated with sample misclassification, specifically assigning different cost values to misclassified sample. And methodology is, the first is data collected, and then data pre-processing, include data combination, similarity measure, and label encoder, and then grid search tuning, and then classification, and the last is performance measurement. And dataset. Dataset we use is DBLP label dataset, obtained from previous work by Jin Seok Kim et al. The number of dataset is 4,419 data. The dataset provides 7 attributes: author name, unique author ID, author list, title, year, venue, and paper ID. For this study, the paper ID attribute was not used due to the problem that the author matching or identification equation is not a document type. Only 6 attributes are sufficient to support and represent documentation from a publication. Data preprocessing. And the first is features preprocessing. There are 5 features: author name, author list, venue, title, and year. And the first thing is do combination. Combination are used to compare one row of data with all rows of data. From the total data set of 4,000 lines, the combination process result in 9 billion data. And the next step is doing similarity measure. Similarity measure is an important tool in determine the degree of similarity between two objects. Similarity measure make it possible to find similarities between text documents. In this case, we use cosine similarity. Cosine similarity is one of the most popular similarity measure applied to the text document. As a result, the cosine similarity becomes non-negative and is limited value between 0 to 1. An important tool of cosine similarity is independence of the document length. And for the feature years, after the combination, we do year difference. Year difference is an absolute difference is carried out to produce a difference in years. After do difference year, we do a min-max scalar. Min-max scalar process is carried out to obtain a smaller data range between the values 0 to 1. And then label preprocessing. Label preprocessing, the first do is from features unique author ID. We do combination and then data comparison. Data comparison is carried out, namely comparing the unique author ID one data with unique author ID 2 data, whether or not they are the same data. If it's the same data, the value is true. And if the data is different, the value is false. Because the data obtained is a Boolean data type, then preprocessing is carried out using the label encoder method. The label encoder output is a value of 1 for true data and 0 for false data. The result from the label encoder will later become the label data feature. And then grid search. Grid search is a hyperparameters model optimization technique. Grid search will combine its parameter with several predetermined values. This combination is done to find one of the parameters that gets the best result. The hyperparameters for a which combination of values will be searched for are batch size and epoch. The batch size value used are 8, 16, 32, and 64. The epoch value used are 100, 200, and 300. Other parameters are not mentioned, still use the same default settings as the classification process in general. Cost-sensitive deep neural network. Most classifiers in general tend to pay less attention to rare case in imbalanced dataset. This resulting in minority data is often misclassified and tends to the majority class. Cost-sensitive classification will consider costs that vary from the type of data misclassification. The Bayesian optimal decision will play a role in obtaining cost-sensitive prediction. in a neural network that consider the cost value by using a deep neural network architecture. It is called a cost-sensitive deep neural network. The proposed GSDNN structure consists of 2 hidden layers with 10 nodes. The activation function used in hidden layer is rectified linear units, or ReLU. The kernel initializer used in the hidden layer is uniform. We use sigmoid as activation function in the output layer in order to ensure the prediction of probabilities is in the range of 0 and 1. The model will be optimized using stochastic gradient descent, or SGD, with a learning rate value of 0.001 and using the binary cross entropy as a loss function. The fit function in the training data process used the class weight argument. In this study, the class weight used is 0 to 1 and 1 to 100. Performance measurement. There are several things will be evaluated to determine the performance of our method. We apply the value of accuracy, specificity, precision, recall, and F1 scores. And this the equation for accuracy, specificity, precision, recall, and F1 score. Whereas the TP is true positive, GN is true negative, VP is false positive, and VN is false negative. Result. Before classification, the data is split into 2 parts, 80% for training and 20% for testing. After the research trial, the best parameters are obtained for the classification process using batch size 16 and epoch of 300 epoch. The grid research result is shown in research result table. In this. From the training and testing process, the performance of the model is present in the training and testing confusion matrix, assigned in the table CM training and table CM testing. And the accuracy curve for the training and testing can be shown in figure accuracy curve. From the confusion matrix, performance measurement is obtained from the purpose method. For the whole training data, the specificity and accuracy value is very good at 99%. For recall and F1 score, the value obtained is very good at 96%. Also, precision value is very good at 95%. Meanwhile, performance measurement for data testing, specificity and accuracy has a very good value of 99%. For recall and F1 score, the value is very good at 96%, and precision value is very good at 95%. The performance measurement of the proposed method can be shown in table performance measurement and this table. In conclusion, the challenge in the problem of author matching in the author name disambiguation is the highly imbalanced data. This paper proposed GSDNN for author matching problem. For the classification process, DBLP data with 5 attributes are used. This experiment results show very good result in terms of specificity, precision, recall, F1 score, and accuracy are 99, 95, 96, 96, and 99% respectively. That's all for my presentation. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Ms. Suci Lestari, for your informative and interesting talk. Now, we will open the floor for a question. If the participant have any question, please raise your hand or you can write it down in the chat box. If the audience have any question regarding to Ms. Suci Lestari presentation, please raise your hand or you can write it down in the chat box. Okay, Ms. Suci, Actually, I have several questions for you. My first question is, what is level 0 and level 1? That's my first question. And then my second question is regarding to your title, your presentation title, the author classification on highly imbalanced data. How do you deal with highly imbalanced data? Do you use any resampling techniques such as over or undersampling to increase your accuracy, sensitivity, precision, and F1 score? Thank you.
Okay, for the first question is what the meaning of level 0 and 1? Is that true?
That's right.
Level 0 is mean that the author is not the same people or not matched, and the level 1 is for the match author or the same author. And the question 2 is how do you about the highly imbalanced data. Highly imbalanced data, I don't use undersampling or oversampling technique, and the accuracy and the accuracy F1 score, precision, recall, and specificity that is from general classification. Don't use the over or undersampling.
Okay. So in your papers, you don't have any resampling method in order to over or undersampling your imbalanced data, right?
Yeah, right.
Okay, thank you for your answer, Ms. Suci Dwi Lestari. We still have time. So if the audience or participant have any question regarding to Ms. Suci Dwi Lestari presentation, please raise your hand or you can write your question in the chat box. Okay, I think that's all. Thank you, Ms. Suci Dwi Lestari, for your presentation.
Thank you.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, finally we come to the end of parallelization presentation. We would like to say thanks again for all the presenters for their informative and interesting talk, and to the participant for your active participation. Hopefully the presentation will be beneficial for everybody. Thank you for your attention. Good morning. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.